Welcome to Security Guy Radio. What's your name, sir?
Bob Giordano.
And what's your name of your company?
Quantec.
And what's Quantec do?
Quantec provides pre-hire solution for contract security companies. We help companies be a little bit more efficient, more effective in their hiring process.
And would you call it a screening process? Is that a fair way to say it?
Part of it's screening and going through a series of application questions typically. And then also we have a built-in operating style assessment that goes along with that as well.
Talk about the assessment. What does that mean?
The assessment helps companies filter through lots of applicants. You know, companies get a lot of applications. It creates a lot of paperwork. So what we do is make it all digital. But through the assessment, weed out people that they should not be even interviewing and spending time on based upon factors such as responsibility indicators and how they interact with other people. So those combinations are very important in the security industry.
So it's not a psychological exam because you can't do that. And I'm saying these things to dispel myths people might think about this, right?
Correct.
It's not a...
It's not a pass-fail.
Not a pass-fail, not a test, right?
It's not a test,
right.
And it's not something that it's the final be-all, end-all to hire and not to hire. It's
kind of a skill assessment in a way.
It's a tool to weed through, filter through a lot of applications to focus on the people you should be hiring.
Now, how many questions are in a typical question?
There's 104.
That's a standard.
It takes about 100. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to go through the process.
Okay.
Of those questions.
Now, let's say I'm the big box company and I want 200 questions. Can I customize that for me?
It is not a customizable.
Oh, okay.
Because it's validated through a psychometrist, so it's a stayed and true. It's been in existence about 20 years. It's a proprietary assessment that we've developed 20 years ago.
Okay, well, that's better. It's standardized.
Yes.
Now, can you put a module in there to ask more company-oriented questions that I might be interested in?
Yes, we can. But the assessment also, going back to the assessment real quick, Chuck, is that really the analytics of the assessment, the outcome of the assessment is what you can tweak to make it fit what you want to get out of the security officer.
Explain that a little more deeply.
So
you have 104 questions. That's standard.
And so there's 185 different combinations of results. So we label each one of those combinations of results, and then you can start to see which results create tendencies in an organization. So for instance, if one of them is called a 41, we just number them, it's 41, then we can look at the retention rates of the hires that were 41s and see whether they have a higher retention rate in that organization than a 45 might have. So now we can go, all right, don't hire 41s because they only stay 30 days as opposed to hiring 78s who stay on the average 370 days.
That's very interesting. Okay. So turnover, big in the guard business.
Correct.
How do you guys quantify the success rate with Quantec? Just in general, guard business is a high turnover, right?
We've improved our clients across the board over 15% retention rate.
That's really big in our business. When some of the big box companies could have 300% turnover in a year.
That's correct.
Which means they've hired the same guard 3 times.
Exactly right. And we look at more retention, not turnover, because you can turn over the same position 10 times, but keep everyone else stayed the other 9 out of those 10. So the aspect of retention is really important to us, and not so much turnover. We can't control once they're on a site. We can't control.
Well, that could be generated by the work environment.
Correct. There's a lot of factors there.
Yeah.
So we look at retention, and we've improved retention across the board by over 15% as well.
As an average.
As an average.
That's outstanding. Now let's talk about compliance issues. 50 states you guys operate in?
We operate in 50 states and Canada.
All right. Different rules for every state on what you can and can't ask, or I'm not sure.
Well, the ban the box is obviously a big issue now in the application process. We find most of our clients are scrapping the ban the box across the way and not trying to piecemeal it because it's too difficult to have an application for each state in different ways. So they're just doing away with ban the box in the process.
Now, when I was working for that company that shall not be mentioned on video, I took it. I took the test a couple times and had some guards take it. I was hiring for the Academy Awards, right? Giant operation, and I need 500 guards. What I found, which was effective, but for my application to special events, it hurt me in a way. Just the mere fact that the guard is going to log in and answer the 104 questions means he's buying in.
It's a great filtering tool just that. The process alone.
Just that. That's right.
The process alone helps our clients quite a bit.
And
the candidate pool immediately improves right off the bat.
It shrinks in a way.
It shrinks, and
but you get
a lot
the better
of our
guy
clients have found
that
that
bought
it
in.
actually hasn't shrunk because now they can apply 24/7. They have an access venue that they can utilize 24/7 to apply.
You know, I never thought about it that way. That's brilliant. Okay, you're right.
Because in the past, a lot of times you have to wait for the office to open.
Exactly.
Whoever has Saturday office hours to have applicants come in.
Well, we did it, but it was overtime.
Right.
Yeah.
So then now people can apply full time, all the time, 24/7. So now you're getting people who work because people will not take off from work to fill out an application. They'll take off from work to have an interview, but
Right.
not to fill out an application.
That's a
so
good
now
point.
you're getting people who are working, which are typically the better candidates in the first place.
Yeah, it's their second job and they're motivated or
Or
whatever.
that if they
Yeah.
need a job and they're looking,
Yeah.
they want to go up in the world, they want to do something more and better.
Okay. See, you sold me. I always try to pick stuff apart. Anybody I go to, I start to look at it, but that's brilliant. It makes sense because you are going to get the guy that's sitting at home online with his 8 hours off and filling out the application.
Correct.
Uh,
Being in the industry, being an operator in the industry in the past, I found that to be very helpful for me.
Now, how does it save me money on the paper side? So this application's filled out. Are you finding your clients are printing them up on top of it or just using it digitally?
A lot of them are not printing out on top of it anymore. And the beauty of our product is it moves through and it also does the new hire package as well. So it does all the I-9s, W-4s.
Oh, that's great.
Digitize all that process. Handbook policies. You don't have to print them out anymore. Everything's e-signature from the beginning of the applicant process all the way through to the payroll.
Oh, brilliant. And we had WinTeam,
Yes.
Team Software, and you guys write some graphic
we have-
user interfaces, and it just imports it right into that database.
Correct. So literally at the push of a button, all that data creates the employee master file.
Right.
We also have background screening built in. So the background screening can be done literally push a button, no more redundant data entry. So it takes everyone off the keyboard of doing data
Right.
entry and makes it streamlined process.
Let's talk about backgrounds real quick. Is that a scalable thing for an employee? In other words, for an employer, I just need criminal. I don't want local. I want national. I mean, there's different things in doing
Yes, we
background
can
checks.
set
It's
up various packages, and you can
Right.
select whatever package that you want to have. We have now come up with currently a new thing. We have e-consent. So again, they don't have to be physically in the office to sign off on the consent. You can do an email e-consent. So it makes it easy to remote hire, especially, and do that quick hire that way.
What's your biggest challenge selling this to a client?
The
What's
biggest-
their resistance?
The biggest challenge is people still think that the general applicant in the security world does not have an access to a computer to apply.
5 years ago, I'd say that was true. Now, I don't think it's true.
It's not true anymore. And our application is a mobile application, so you can do it right on a phone.
Oh, you got a mobile app.
We have
Outstanding.
It's on a mobile app. It's built in. It's a mobile application.
Oh,
and a
mobile
browser.
page, which is mobile friendly, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's
it's all
good.
mobile friendly, and that makes it a lot easier to do on any smartphone.
So if you're sitting at my desk and you're trying to sell this to me, I'm going to say, well, I like the guy to come in. I like to talk to him. I like to evaluate him. And you're going to say, you do that after he fills out all the stuff, right? Is there any line there where you go from, candidate to applicant? Because
Yes.
there's a difference between a candidate and an applicant. And in California, if I remember correctly, you collect data on people. You got to treat them differently, right?
Correct.
And be careful what you do with the data so it doesn't fall into some sort of discriminatory
Exactly
claim.
right. So in our system, you can set that person up as does not meet minimum requirements, and that dismisses them as a candidate.
Now, by the way, is that an automatic response from the system, which takes the human element out of it?
No, that is a human.
It's an employer decision.
It's an employer decision right now.
Okay, and is that based on a ranking that they
It
receive?
can be. Again, it's an internal thing that any organization creates
Okay.
their own criteria
As we can
of what
anyway,
they're
yeah.
looking for.
That makes sense.
I'll give you an example of why it's important to streamline this process. When I first started in the business, and my company before I used Quantec, we were interviewing about 300 people a month. We'd get about 500 applicants, interviewing 300 people a month. We started using Quantec. We screened that down to interviewing about 120 people a month to hire the same 30 people. Think about the time savings in the HR department of not having 200 more interviews a month and going through and wasting time interviewing and talking to people that you're never going to hire.
For the Academy Awards, 45-day assignment, I needed to have 400 people in the schedule booked, when the show started, right? To get there, I had to start hiring in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I barely made it by the time the show started. By the
Because
time
you
it
got
ended.
fall off as they go on.
I had to hire, if I needed 400, I wound up one year I wound up taking in applications for over 750 people, right?
Well,
and then, 100 just don't show up, and, grandma's sick, I can't make it, and then there's people.
Yep.
It was difficult. It was difficult.
Well, I used to do the Kentucky Derby.
Oh,
and
wow.
We used to have 1,500 people there for 2 days. And we started hiring the day after the Kentucky Derby each year.
I went there a couple years ago and visited that. What a beautiful place.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing
It's
place.
great.
Very good. You work security there?
Yes, I ran the security there.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
So when
So we use Quantec.
Oh, how interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, the guy was telling me about these stories where they people sneak in there a month early and dig a
my
hole in the
goodness.
ground, bury their bear in the field. That's very clever. All right, anything on the horizon? What's the next great big thing Quantec's going to do?
Really is more integration and improving our applicant tracking in a sense of having a few more features, looking at being able to schedule interviews right through our system and have a calendar function.
Oh, that's a good idea. Schedule the interview.
And then be able to do also video interviewing and incorporate video interviewing through our product.
So two brilliant features, because what I would like to see as a buyer is I would say, here's the calendar, and you, Mr. Applicant, push a button, and that's your date. Brilliant.
That is exactly what we're doing.
And then if you can get into a Skype connection and they can sit there and do it on the phone, I'm still going to want to shake their hand and talk to them. That's the final evaluation, but this is going to cut out a lot of things.
Right. The smell test, we call it.
Don't say that in California. It'll be some olfactory lawsuit or something. That's what happens, Well, Bob, thanks for talking to me. This has been really fascinating. Wish you guys good luck, and welcome to come on the show anytime and talk about the latest stuff. I think you have something here.
Great. Thanks very much, Chuck.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.